So good evening, everyone. And as you know, today is the first series of modern approaches in education. And we're going to have these meetings once weekly throughout the summer. Today, our first guest is Dušica Kandić-Najić from Serbia. She's a teacher trainer and ELT specialist, and she kindly agreed to share with us about listening strategies in English language teaching. And we do hope on an interaction session with your questions and support, of course. Dušica, here you go.
Thank you, Kubra. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good evening to everyone from Azerbaijan and everywhere else in the world. I come from Serbia. I'm calling from Serbia. My name is Dušica. Like Kubra said, I'm an English language teacher with more than 20 years of teaching experience. And I want to, in the beginning, I would like to explain the lucky coincidence that Kubra contacted me via Open Alumni website, which I didn't visit quite often, but on that day I seemed to visit the site, and that's how we made arrangements for this webinar. Okay, I would like to introduce myself by sharing my presentation. And I will explain about the topic. If I could just minimize the window with participants. Yes. Okay. So the topic of my workshop tonight is listening strategies in ELT. Until recently, I didn't know that such thing exists, like listening strategies. As you can see, I'm an English Language Teachers Association of Serbia, a long-time member. And until now, I have represented the association 3 times in Slovenia, in Greece, and in Spain. As I said, I have more than 20 years of teaching experience, but since 2009, I'm teaching in this wonderful rural school with 20 or so students per class, and it's elementary school or primary. Students are from 7 to 15-year-old. And we engage in a lot of activities, for example, e-twinning, for which we were awarded national and European quality label. And we are expecting to start an Erasmus project this year. We are awaiting decision. Let's go back to the agenda for tonight's meeting. First, introduction, and I will introduce the topic of listening strategies and what it means for me and how I come to research listening strategies. After that, we will have a listening activity, a short survey, and then we are going to talk about strategies and instruments used in the research. I will present some research results from my pilot research and another listening activity after everything. And we will go to the conclusion after that. Okay, so this was my introduction, my international conferences, and let me show you how was listening dealt with throughout my career. Back in 1990s, when I started teaching, in 1998 exactly, this is the instrument that I used. And it's a cassette recorder. After that, a CD player. It was in 2000s. After that, this small rural school got some computers, but it was quite late, around 2010. so we could reproduce sound. And then somehow the computers crashed. So what was I supposed to do? I transferred all audio material to my phone, and I used this small speaker for 2 years, I think. It was really a struggle for me, but I thought it was so important to have listening component in classes, especially with younger learners, because my students are from 7 to 14. And luckily, when I came back from my second maternity leave, it was about 2017 or 18, we got the first projector in our school. That made life a lot easier. But it was only one projector, so I had to share it with my colleagues, and we had to make a plan who is going to use the projector for this class or that. I will come back to the projector issues later during the presentation. Now we have a projector in each classroom, so it's quite easy to deal with listening and videos. It makes teaching easier and more interesting for students. And this is something that I'm still dreaming about, and I hope I will get it soon. All right. So I'm gonna immerse you in listening activity right away. I will not announce anything. I would just like you to listen, if that's okay. So here we go.
1.
Which after-school club are you going to join? How about the chess club?
That's a bit dull for me. I prefer something more thrilling.
Like what?
Fencing sounds good. I've always wanted to try that.
You can get hurt doing that, can't you?
Not really. Not if you're careful.
2. Did you see the new Star Wars film at the weekend? I know you're a huge fan.
Yes, I've wanted to see it for months now, but it wasn't a great experience.
Why's that?
Well, for one thing, there was someone talking on his phone all through the film.
Oh no, that's so annoying.
It is, but the worst thing was the film itself. It just wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be.
3.
Henry wants to direct the school play again this year.
Oh, good. He did a great job last year.
But he thinks he's better than everybody.
I don't agree. He just knows what he's good at and isn't afraid to show it. I think he's a good director.
That's only because he gave you the best role.
So that was the listening activity. This is how I used to do listening activities in the beginning of my career. I just said, now we are doing a listening activity. I didn't explain anything to you. I didn't tell you what to do, what to listen for. I didn't tell you if you're going to hear a dialogue or just one person talking. I didn't tell you anything about the topic. So how did this activity make you feel? Were you comfortable? Feel free to join in the conversation.
Can I just mention something? Firstly, hello. It's very nice to
Hello.
see you here. I actually was confused. Like you said before, you didn't explain to us anything. I was thinking like, are we going to listen for once or twice? Yeah, that was quite confusing. And you didn't give us the time to look through the questions, the answers. So I think that's what I would like to mention.
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you for joining in. I did everything wrong, didn't I? And I didn't help you at all. I just pushed you into this activity. And that's how our students feel if we don't help them, if we don't scaffold along the way. So tonight I'm going to talk about how not to do this, how to prepare them for listening activity. As you know, all the listening activities in every course book, they come at the end of the lesson. And I told you that I will come back to the projector thing. When we got the first and the only projector in our school, we used it wisely because we didn't want to overheat it. So we needed to watch the videos, to listen to audios at the beginning of the class and then to turn it off. So I had to do all my listening and watching at the beginning of the class, which was very, very wrong. Later, I found out that listening comes at the end of the class. Let me tell you now. Maybe it would be a good idea if you can scan this QR code, it will direct you to survey about listening activities, about your thoughts regarding listening activities. For example, if you can scan the code with your phones, it will direct you to a green background. And the first question is, compared with speaking, reading, and writing, listening is a passive activity. And you have 5 answers: strongly agree, agree, neither agree nor disagree, disagree, and strongly disagree. I have 10 questions in this survey, and I think that it will take you a minute or 2 to fill it in. So I would kindly ask you to open the code if you can, and to give me your answers. Later during the workshop, we will analyze your answers and we will see if you're right or wrong, or if there are right or wrong answers. It's just a reflection and discussion about this. So I will let you know when the time is up. Do you agree that I can move on from this slide? Listening skill. I think that I can continue. Do you agree? I hope you had enough time to fill in the questionnaire. If you didn't, you may continue while some other participants who didn't scan the code can discuss with me. How much time do we spend listening in our everyday lives? Do we spend a lot? It all depends. And how much time do our students spend listening in our classes, in English language classes? I think quite a lot. And how much time do we spend teaching listening skills to our students? I would say not enough. Until recently, I didn't even know that I can teach them how to listen. I thought that they cannot be taught how to listen. If they are able to listen in their native language, they will be able to listen in English. But I think I was wrong. Some researches that I used in my PhD research, they say that we listen twice as much as we speak, 4 times more than we read, and 5 times more than we write. But I would say type nowadays, not write. And they agree that listening is undervalued and overlooked, even though over 50% of time is spent teaching our students is spent through listening. So listening comprehension happens in 3 phases, according to Anderson. It's perception, parsing, and utilization. Okay. Perception is when we perceive the phonemes, and parsing is the process by which the words in the message are transformed into a mental representation of that word. And utilization is the 3rd stage, and that's when mental images are connected to previous knowledge and they're stored in long-term memory. That's how listening comprehension happens. And these 3 processes, they are not organized in time all the time. They overlap often. Now, listening approaches. We have 2 listening approaches. I'm sure you have heard about them. Top-down approach, which is a schematic approach. And the schema is prior knowledge that we have about the world. For example, if I say chocolate, you all have different representation of that word. We don't all have the same image of chocolate in our minds. And the other is bottom-up approach, which is analytical synthetic approach. Whether we are using one approach or the other will depend upon the purpose of listening. If we are listening for the main idea, we will use a top-down approach. And if we are listening for detail, we will use bottom-up approach. And top-down approach rely on our prior knowledge, and schema is important to be activated before listening so that it is easier for our students. So we need to activate their schema by showing them photos or talking about familiar, similar topics. Bottom-up processing is usually used while listening for details such as weather forecast. We listen for certain details. Okay, so now we come to listening strategies. As I told you, I didn't know that listening strategies exist, but they are part of learning strategies. And the majority of researchers agree that we can divide listening strategies into 3 main groups, and they are cognitive, metacognitive, and social affective strategies. Cognitive strategies are usually listening for gist, for main idea, then listening for details, making inferences, summarizing, sorry, I went too fast, and summarizing. What I wanted to mention is the definition of listening strategies. They're part of learning strategies, and Rebecca Oxford says that they're concrete procedures that make listening easier, faster, and more fun and efficient, whereby students become more independent and they're able to apply acquired knowledge in new situations. Okay, so cognitive strategies, they're really important, but the main point of my research are metacognitive strategies. There we have planning, which includes knowledge of the topic, text genre, where we anticipate words, ideas. We determine where to pay attention, to predict, and to focus. Then monitoring is the second stage, where we evaluate understanding, we verify predictions, and progress in comprehension. Problem solving is inferencing or asking for clarification. And evaluating, we reflect on difficulties and confirm comprehension. These processes are not organized, they often overlap. Okay, and we come to the third group. They are social affective strategies. That's building interpersonal relationships, developing a positive attitude, managing our emotions, and seeking feedback. For example, successful listeners don't use only one strategy. They don't use only cognitive or metacognitive or social affective, but they use all of them. For example, they may decide to watch or listen to audio content to improve their pronunciation or their vocabulary. That would be metacognitive strategy. And then maybe they will decide to take notes. That would be cognitive strategy. Later, they could discuss what they were listening to, and that would be social affective strategy. Five sequential steps proposed in the pedagogical sequence by Larry Vandergrift, who is an important researcher in the field of listening. They are planning and predicting. First verification, actually that's the first listening, as the colleague who participated before said, we didn't know if we are going to listen for the recording once or twice. So we should take the first listening just to get familiar with the speaker, who is speaking, male or female voice. What kind of text is it? Is it an advertisement? Is it a dialogue? And during the second verification, that's the second listening, is when we pay attention to the details and we are able to fill in the exercise to give the correct answers. In case we are not able to do it in the second verification, we had final verification, which is the third time listening. And reflection is actually evaluation of our success, where we can even use the transcript to check if our students got the right answers. All right. Now I will tell you about the instrument that I used for my pilot research. It's taken from Vandergrift. It's called MALQ, Metacognitive Awareness Listening Questionnaire. And that questionnaire has 21 items, 21 statements. And there are 5 factors underlying this instrument. The first is problem solving, planning and evaluation, translation, person knowledge, directed attention. This is not only the instrument, this could also be used for practicing listening activities with your students. Let's just go through all these factors together. Problem solving. I'm not sure if I can see it from the beginning. Okay. While listening, I compare what I understand with what I know about the topic. I use the general idea of the text to help me guess the meaning of the words that I don't understand. I use my experience and knowledge to help me understand. When I guess the meaning of a word, I think back to everything else that I have heard to see if my guess makes sense. As I listen, I quickly adjust my interpretation if I realize that it is not correct. So when you read these statements to your students, that's how they realize that they can apply them while listening. That's why this is a teaching tool as well, not only an instrument for research. Now, second factor is planning and evaluation. Before I start to listen, I have a plan in my head for how I am going to listen. Before listening, I think of similar texts that I may have listened to. After listening, I think back to how I listened and about what I might do differently next time. As I listen, I periodically ask myself if I'm satisfied with my level of comprehension. And number 5, I have a goal in my mind as I listen. That's how we plan. Okay. Translation. I translate in my head as I listen. I translate keywords as I listen. I translate word by word as I listen. Person knowledge. I find that listening in English is more difficult than reading, speaking, or writing in English. I feel that listening comprehension in English is a challenge for me. I don't feel nervous when I listen to English. Okay, that's how our students can see that other listeners also struggle sometimes. Directed attention. I focus harder on the text when I have trouble understanding. When my mind wanders, I recover my concentration right away. I try to get back on track when I lose concentration. When I have difficulty understanding what I hear, I give up and stop listening. In my research, number 4 appeared a couple of times. They just give up and stop listening when the difficulty comes. Okay, so I will present you just some of the main points from my research. I did the initial test and the final test, and I compared my students' grades from the first semester. The initial test was done in January. Sorry, not January. The initial test was in September, the beginning of the last school year, and the final test was after 4 months. During those 4 months, there was a pedagogical intervention, meaning that I practiced with them all the stages that I told you about. First, we did brainstorming about listening activities. What kind of text are we going to listen to? What do they predict they will hear? And we listened to each text 3 times. And after each listening, we discussed about the difficulties and what will they do better next time. As a first-time researcher for this pilot research, I made a few mistakes, and they're obvious. I had many students absent from the initial test or final test. But let's check these numbers. On an initial test, I have 30% of 5 grade students. Those are the best students. And their grades from the previous year were like that, 30% of grade 5. But after the intensive training, what I got was 45% of the best results on listening activities. These tests were only listening tests. No explicit grammar or vocabulary testing, just listening. Okay, and the sample was 20 students, and many of them were absent, so I should have excluded some answers. Now I know that for the next research. So I got really good results and I can be satisfied with them because they confirmed my internal feeling that I'm doing something right by practicing listening activities and listening skills and involving strategies. All right. Now I would like you to experience the second listening activity. Okay, first of all, I'm going to ask you if you have ever broken your mobile phone or any other electronic device. Think about that. Was it ever broken? Do you know the model of your mobile phone or your laptop? Was it repaired or exchanged for a new one? If an electronic device is broken, it can be damaged or defective or faulty, malfunctioning, out of order, and many other stuff. What am I doing now? I'm activating your schema. So after it's being activated, I'm going to do some pre-listening activities. If we can zoom here and see what's the problem with these devices. So the smartphone screen is cracked or ripped. And we circle the correct answer. The TV is broken or dirty. And my students circle the correct answer. The battery that came with the watch is dead or damaged. The keys on the keyboard are blank or missing. The CD, this is a little bit outdated, is torn or scratched. And my students usually give me the correct answers. And I tell them that now they're going to listen to the conversation between a customer and an employee in an electronics shop, and they should complete the gaps. Before we listen to the text for the first time, we are going to read this customer complaints form. Name, Charlie, and we have a gap. And I ask them, what do you expect to hear? If you have Charlie here, you should expect a surname, family name. Product, smartphone, model, ZXZP, and probably a number. Date of purchase, so you know what to expect. A day, a year, a problem. These could all be the problems or anything from the previous page of my presentation. An action taken is, again, it for a new one. Probably exchange. And now you can relax and feel confident that you will get all the answers correct. So let's listen to this conversation.
Good morning. How may I help you?
Yes, hello. My name's Charlie Cook.
Let me just make a note of that. Charlie Cook. Okay.
I'm here about the smartphone I bought here a couple of days ago. You weren't here, but a lovely woman called Janine helped me pick out exactly what I needed. I've got it here in my bag.
It's Janine's day off today, but I'm sure I can help you. Can I have a look? Okay, it's the ZXZP1266 model. When did you say you bought this?
The 4th of June to be exact, at around 2 p.m.
And what's the problem with it?
Well, its screen is scratched. It's hard to see unless you put it up to the light, but there it is. See? All the way across the screen.
Oh yes, well I never. That's so hard to spot. I bet it went straight through without anyone noticing at the factory.
I'm so glad you believe me. I was afraid you'd think I did it.
Oh no, of course not. So, what would you like to do? You can get a refund of the full amount you paid or exchange it for a new one.
I just want to exchange it and get one just like this. It's perfect for me.
Okay, Mr. Cook, a brand new ZXZP1266 smartphone is coming right up. I'll get one from the storeroom.
Was it easier this time? I suppose it was quite easy to reach the correct answers. And our students will feel more confident. Of course, this is the first listening. Now goes the second listening and the third listening. Sometimes it's not necessary to listen for the third time. Okay, so what helped me preparing my students for these activities are study skills that I have in my course book, and I usually read them aloud with my students. Predicting content is important. Read the rubric, that's the introduction to the exercise. Then read the stems and possible answers. Read the questions and read the answers which are possible. And predict, that will help you predict the content of the recording. What else can help us? Identify distractors. Read the questions carefully and look at the answer options. You will hear the words related to all the answers, but only one is correct. There are many distractors. And what we did now, we looked at the gaps and we identified what information is missing: a surname, a date, a number, or something else. We always read study skills and we apply them for every listening. And now we'll show you a few engaging and interesting activities I do with my students, where we practice listening, but it's really closely connected to speaking as well, because we cannot separate those two. Listen and draw. Before I go to the next slide, I will ask you if you have a notepad next to you, if you can listen to me and try to draw what I say. Later, I will reveal the text and I will reveal the drawing. We do this in pairs at school. Draw a yellow tropical fruit that is riding an outdoor toy with two wheels and is drinking something from a white container. It's an unusual instruction because I am forbidden to use the obvious words. For example, if I were explaining this middle photo, I would be forbidden to use the words, the name of the animal, and the antlers and lights. So I will repeat again. A yellow tropical fruit riding on an outdoor toy with two wheels, drinking something from a container. Here is the text. And here is the photo. Were you close to drawing this photo? Let's have some more fun. A visitor from another planet that is holding a small red insect with black spots. Could you guess? It's easy for kids, all right? And I have two more. A typical black pet that can bark, not meow, and is sleeping on a certain object that he was reading from, and his eyesight is not so good. So the photo would be something like this. And an object that used to wake people up before the arrival of mobile phones that is in a big hurry. And now, if you would really like to get the drawing correct, what would you do? You would ask me to repeat. You would ask for clarification, right? And this is how we listen and draw and have fun in our classes. These are unusual photos, not so predictable. Sorry. What else I do with my students? We play the game, Who Am I? It's detective listening task. I have two prepared for you, and we reveal sentences one by one, and we will see who will guess first. As a child, I loved outdoor adventures and was always fearless. That could be anyone. I took up a profession that was unusual for women at the time and became a pioneer in my field. We are getting closer. I set many records and became a role model for young girls. Feel free to give an answer if you know who we are talking about. My final adventure remains a mystery to this day. Did you guess? It's Amelia. Okay. Now I have another task, but I will not show you the words. I will just read the words from the other presentation. Just a second. I was born in a small village in Europe in the 19th century into a family with a strong tradition, but later emigrated to the United States. As a child, I had a photographic memory and could imagine complex machines before drawing them. I never married and was often considered eccentric. They said I had a peculiar relationship with pigeons. Any guesses? No? My research changed the way we use electricity. Although some opposed me, my system is now used worldwide. And the answer is Nikola Tesla. Okay. That's another activity that I use with my kids. And let's take another one. Can you hear the difference? This is the text that they get, and I read a different one. Anna went to the bakery early in the morning. Sorry, I'm reading the same one. Anna went to the supermarket early in the morning. She bought a cheese sandwich and a cup of tea. The weather was sunny and warm, so she decided to walk home. When she arrived, her dog was waiting by the door. So it's quite an easy text, and students are supposed to spot the difference and to say which words have been substituted for another word. This is the second text, and instead of bakery, we have supermarket. Instead of croissant, we have cheese sandwich. Instead of coffee, tea, cold and rainy, sunny and warm, and so on. Okay, now I would like to open and analyze your answers, your reflections. And I tried to do it before. Okay. I have 13 out of 25 responses. Okay, I didn't have any more than 25 places, and I can see that there are more participants here. And if we open to analyze results, just bear with me for a moment. Here they are. So let's see how you answered. Compared with speaking, reading, and writing, listening is a passive activity. Okay, so majority disagreed, but quite a few agreed with it. It just looks passive because it cannot be observed from the outside. Because when a person is listening, unless they are nodding, you cannot say that they are listening. Okay. Next question. The most important thing in listening instruction is that students get the right answers. That is the point, but it's not the most important thing. At least for our students while we are practicing. If assessment is the only goal, it adds to their stress. And when they're stressed, affective filter rises and they just cannot hear anything. Okay, next question. Learner anxiety is a major obstacle, and the majority agreed. Okay, so that means that we need to help them along the way and ease them into listening and support them. Listening means understanding words, so teachers just need to help learners understand all the words in the sound stream. Of course, we disagree, but the research showed that 50%, that's the percentage that vocabulary helped learners to be good listeners. So understanding words is important, but not every word, of course. Teaching listening through video is better than audio alone. As I expected, agree and disagree. The percentage is similar. Okay. So we don't know which is better. It depends upon the topic and upon the preferences of our students. Learners with good listening ability in the first language will also become good L2 listeners. Okay, but do we teach our students to listen in their native language? Do we have listening practice? Not so often, I think. We just expect learners to be able to listen in their native language. So it can help, but there is no correct answer for this. When teachers provide learners with the context for a listening activity, they give away too much information. Well, that can be true, but that's not wrong. We should give away too much information and we should help them, especially in the beginning. Later on, less and less information is necessary. Recently, in March, I talked about the same topic in Spain, and I had a question. They asked me, do you still teach them like that? Do you still go through all the phases? And I said, yes, I do. I don't give up. They need my help all the way. If the high achievers don't need it, there are always students who need additional teachers' help. Interactive listening, question number 8. In conversation with another speaker is more difficult than one-way listening, for example, radio or television. And majority said that they agree that the interactive listening is more difficult than one-way listening. But in interactive listening, you can ask for clarification. And when you're listening to a radio or television program, if you don't hear it the first time and you don't have the opportunity to go back to rewind, you miss the information. I think that interactive is easier, but okay. Letting students listen on their own according to their interests is the best way to develop listening skills. I think that we all agree that when students are interested in something, they will be successful in it. The majority of my good English speakers and listeners are gamers because they listen to other children from Europe and they play games online. So I think that that's the secret of their success. And the last question. Captions and subtitles are useful tools for learning to listen. So majority said that they agree, and I also agree. But I had one fruitful conversation and debate with other colleagues who disagree, and they say when we use captions and subtitles that we don't actually listen, we read. So listening is not happening when we are using subtitles. And I still disagree with that. And I agree with majority of you. Okay, as I said, there are no right or wrong answers here. This is the page from my whiteboard software from my book. This is how we get the right answers. So I really love my book. Let's go back to the presentation. We analyzed what needed to be analyzed. Okay, and we can agree that metacognitive approach, sorry for this, enables learners to develop greater capacity for learning how to learn in 3 ways: through person knowledge, through task knowledge, and to strategy knowledge and strategy use. Okay, and we can conclude that by activating the metacognition of our students, we can make a significant impact on their lives and their listening ability. We need to provide the scaffolding throughout their listening development. We need to motivate them and support them. And it's a gradual process. It takes time. I start with my students when they're first graders, when they're 7 years old. And we start with songs, with TPR, which is really important, with stories. We act out stories. We have movements for each song that we listen. And gradually, until they come to the 8th grade, that's the end of primary school in Serbia, they're able to listen and to engage in conversation, longer and meaningful conversation with me and among themselves. And it is important for young teachers to know that if something is not working in one classroom, it doesn't mean that it will not work in another. Or if it's not working the first time, it will work if you try again and again. So do not give up. That would be my conclusion. And the more they practice, the better they get. And the assessment shouldn't be the only goal for listening activity. We can do just listening activity for pleasure. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my presentation and you find these activities helpful. If you want to get in contact with me, you can send me an email. If you want to get this presentation, you can also contact me. If you have any questions, I will stop sharing the screen now and I will try to answer all the questions you have. I'm sorry this couldn't be more interactive. If we were face-to-face, maybe we could
Thank you, Dušica.
interact more.
Really amazing, and I'm sure teachers have questions, but before that I have a very small announcement. Actually, throughout the session several times I sent the registration form to the chat box. Please make sure you indicate your name, full name, please, name and surname, and email addresses for the certificates, because while sending out the certificates, we should know your names exactly and to what email address to send them. Thank you. And here you go with your questions.
I would like to mention something. Thank you for your presentation. It was really very interesting and we benefited largely from your comments, but so sorry, something went wrong with my camera. I couldn't open and interact with you. So I'm really grateful for you for your useful knowledge and information. So sorry, I could make it more interactive with my questions and comments, but sorry, I couldn't make it. So I indicated my name, Gülşen Aliyeva from Azerbaijan, and I'm looking forward for more presentations like webinars and meetings like this. Thank you very much again.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Feel free to ask anything or share some thoughts or give some suggestions.
I have one question for you.
Yes.
And hi, Lisa. I'm very
Hi.
glad we haven't seen each other for a very long time. I mean, in person. So I want to ask you, for how long did you practice these strategies? For how many years so far? Did you practice it from the beginning of your career, or you started later on? Did you use something earlier, and recently maybe you changed some of it? Something brief on it.
Thank you for your question. I will tell you now. I started practicing listening strategies and listening skills in this way since 2017, because that was the year when we had to choose new course books in Serbia. And I went to a few presentations, more than 5, in Belgrade. And I was choosing the book that had so many video and audio. I wanted my learners to, because I teach in rural school, and I always had that wish to make them be equal with city schools. So even though we had one projector back then, they had the opportunity to listen and to be engaged in listening activities, the same as if they went to a city school. Because I remember when I recorded some activities with primary students, with my kid was in primary school, and when I showed that to him, he was really mad because his teacher didn't apply the same listening and dancing and songs. So that's what motivated me. And since 2017, I'm teaching listening skills like this. Before that, I played it by ear. I didn't know why is it important or how to teach it. Or thank you, Sandra, for your question.
Dushica, good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I want to say that your name is so beautiful. As far as I understand, it means soul.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much for your very interesting and fruitful webinar, because from my perspective, it goes without saying that listening is the first among the 4 skills, because you have to listen first in order to speak. Yes, and I hope that we will meet again in some future webinars, and it goes without saying that we'll implement all your advice here in our future work. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Very
Feel free to get
interesting,
in
yes.
touch with me. Thank you. Thank you.
If no more questions or comments, so I'd like to thank you. It was really amazing to have you here today. One more person from Serbia, ELT, and this is actually amazing collaboration. Thank you for all your support and expertise.
Thank you very much for the
And
opportunity.
I do hope we will have some more in future.
Yes, we will.
And thank you everyone for your time. I know teachers are really exhausted at the beginning of summer, and if you can find time to spend it with us and develop together, that's amazing. Thank you. It's really great support. It means
Yes,
a
it
lot.
was really great, and I think Mrs. Dushica covered as much as possible related to this sphere. That is what we have no so much questions, so many questions. Well, thank you so much.
It was comprehensive. Yeah,
Thank
actually,
you. Thank you both.
I do agree. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Wow.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Baku.
Bye. Bye.